Hi everyone, how are you all doing? So happy to connect with all of you and so excited to answer any queries, any questions related to research writing. So I've been noticing that all of you have been really following the research and presentation videos that we've been putting out there, whether it is how to write a research paper, how to write a review paper, how to write a research proposal, or how to write an abstract. So I'll be very happy to take your questions today. But apart from that, I do have certain publishing tips that I'd like to share with you. So anybody here who is either doing their research or in the middle of writing their research paper or just trying to get yourselves published, I think these tips should help you out in this journey. So while I share the tips with you, if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat here. All right. So I think the first tip that I'd like to share with you when it comes to research, writing, and getting yourself published is right in the beginning, which is choosing a research topic. Whenever you're planning to start a research project, make sure that you choose a research topic very carefully. And how can you do that? Well, obviously, for that, you need to make sure that you do a thorough literature survey in order to ensure that the problem statement or the research gap that you've identified is unique and it's a problem worth solving. Because if you do this step right and if you're actually working on a good problem, later on getting yourself published would be easy. In fact, the kind of problem that you choose and then the result that you get out of it decides what level of impact factor journal can you get yourself published in. Okay, so my first tip to you would be that if you do want to get yourself published in a good high impact factor journal, then try and choose a good research topic. Obviously, take help from people who have done this before. Take help of your professors or PhD scholars or postdocs. They'll be able to guide you with this. Yes. Second tip that I have for you is make sure that you know all sorts of experimental data that you need before you start writing down your paper. So the idea is that once you have finalized your research topic, make a flow chart, make a plan that okay, if I want to publish a research paper, I've gone through the literature survey and generally these are the experiments that I'll have to do, or these are the tests that I'll have to do to prove my results. Make sure you have a complete knowledge of that before you start writing your paper. Why am I saying that? Is because sometimes people do a part of their experiments, they feel that their experiments are over, but when they sit down to write their paper and they realize that, oh, I was supposed to test this as well, but then you've already closed your experiment, your samples are probably now 10 days 15 days old and you can't be using them. So you wouldn't want yourself to be in such a mess. So that's why you should note down all the details, all the experimental data that you need. Make sure you complete all your experiments properly before you sit down to write your paper. Okay. Hi, SM. When is the communication course launching next? Okay, so our communication course dates have actually been now finalized. It's starting on 25th of August, and the details are available on our website. So you go to our website www.wiseupcommunications.com. You go to our courses page, and then you'll be able to see the course there. Okay. How much stipend government gives if the research paper is approved? um as per my knowledge, I don't think the stipend depends on whether your research paper is published or not. It depends on the kind of program you are enrolled in and the kind of funding that is available for your program. So if I'm not wrong, generally PhD students get somewhere around 30 to 35,000. If you're a research scholar, you've already completed your PhD, then it would be slightly higher for you. Yes. So, and obviously, if you're working in different government organizations, the stipend again varies. But yeah, I would say roughly somewhere between 50K to 80K would be a good estimate per month. Okay. Medical professionals, I'm not sure. I just know for science and engineering students. So for medical, I am unaware of that field. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So I've shared two tips with you till now about research paper publication. Coming to my third tip, I've actually written everything down. So I'm just recalling what I'm supposed to say next. Yes. So when you're writing your research paper, in what order should you write? Yes, I think a lot of people have this question. So again, it depends on you. I would say the easiest section to start would be the materials and methods section. It's extremely simple, doesn't require a lot of fancy vocabulary or academic writing style. In materials and methods section, whatever experiments you've done, whatever materials you've done, you just have to list them down in a very neat and clear way so that people can understand. So I would say that if you're already feeling very nervous about writing a research paper, and if you just want to get out of that zone of how am I going to write it, then I think you should start off with the materials and methods section first. Once you've done that, you will actually have some confidence as to how to go about this. Then I would say the next section you should attempt to write is the introduction section. Go through other research papers, see how they've written it down. Generally, the introduction section follows like a funnel shaped pattern where you start with the broad information first and then you constantly keep narrowing it down to your own research topic. So, go through few papers, you will understand, and then you should write the introduction section. And writing both these sections, if you notice, you don't need any experimental data, any results of your own. Yes. Once you've written these two sections down, then the third section, and obviously one of the most important sections that you should start working on, would be your results and discussion section. And then finally would be the conclusion section. Once you've written all of these sections, then you should write your abstract. So abstract is a section that should essentially be written towards the end. Even though it appears right at the top of your research paper, try and write it in the end. And why is that? Because once you've written down all your sections, you will know what are the key elements or the key information that you've included in each and every section. And then writing your abstract would become very easy. Okay. A few hacks for quickly publishing a research paper in a UGC listed journal. I think that's what I'm doing now. I'm sharing all the tips and hacks with you when you're writing and publishing a research paper. All right. So that would be my third tip for you. Next tip would be that once you've written down your research paper, always get it corrected, always get it checked by an expert, because there are things that you might not even know that, okay, these are the things I'm supposed to focus on, or these are the things that I'm going wrong in. So anybody who's published a research paper before, either your guide, professor, again PhD students, postdocs, make sure you get your paper checked from them and look for their feedback and try and incorporate their feedback in your paper. Another thing that really helps differentiate your paper and also decides whether your paper gets published in a high impact factor journal or not are the kind of images or data or pictures, illustrations that you include. Trust me, guys, it actually plays a very important role. So, higher is the quality of your pictures, the results that you are putting in the form of like graphs, tables, sample images, images that are taken from instruments, equipments. Make sure they are all very high quality files. And I just, by high quality files, I don't mean that they should be of a higher GB or a higher pixel value and all that. I don't mean that. I mean that when you're clicking those pictures also, they should be extremely good quality pictures where all the information, all the data, everything can be seen clearly. And then obviously when you're submitting your research paper, make sure you submit high quality. And here by high quality I mean good, uh, what should I say, good pixel quality, that sort of a version where like 1080p or 720p, these kind of estimates that we have. So try and give a very high quality image when you're submitting your research papers. Okay, so that was my next tip for you. Then I would say, once you've written your paper, very important to go for a plagiarism check. So I'm pretty sure most of you would know by now what exactly plagiarism is. So plagiarism is when you take information or somebody else's writing or somebody else's idea and you incorporate that in your own paper without giving them due credit. So that's what plagiarism means. Sometimes, actually most of the times, we have plagiarism in our research papers not because we actually want to do it, but because we unknowingly do it. So, which is why you should go through a proper plagiarism check before you are submitting your research papers. Now, obviously, some of the good plagiarism checkers online are paid. Like I would say, Turnitin is really good, and if your university provides Turnitin, I think that's a very authentic plagiarism checker. But other than that, there are many other free options available online. So make sure that you go through one or two of them before you submit your research papers. Yes. Then my next and final tip to you here would be that always seek help. Don't try to do everything on your own thinking that okay, I can manage everything. Sometimes even uploading your research paper to the journal's website is tricky. They ask for a lot of information that you might not know how to submit. So always seek help from people who have done this before, who have published a research paper before. Take their guidance and then you go for this publication process. That would really make your work easy. Okay. And obviously, apart from that, if you want to learn how to write a research paper in detail, well, I'm here for that. I can help you understand each and every step of the research paper writing process. So, for that, we are starting a live course on research paper writing from 3rd of September. Today is 14th. In another 15-20 days, we're starting our live course. It's total of 8 hours. It combines both how to write a research paper and how to present your research work. Because a lot of us, once we do our research, we would like to present it in conferences, correct? Or we even need to present it in our college in the form of thesis defense, etc. So how exactly are you supposed to present your research, how to make your presentations attractive, how to deliver your presentations properly, all these things we cover in this 8-hour certification course. So at the end of it, you actually receive a certification that you've gone through a proper program on how to write a research paper and how to present or how to master your presentation skills. Okay, so I'll put the link here in the chat box for all of you to go through. So this is the link for our research workshop in the chat box, and we are also running a 10% discount for first 20 early bird registrations. So you can go through the information and see if you are interested. I'll be really happy to have you in the course and interact with you, clear your doubts in a live session. Because what happens is that you can go through recorded workshops, you can go through my videos, but all of your research topics are going to be different, and sometimes you have questions which are very specific to your own research area, and I'd like to take them, address them in the live course so that I can help you in your research writing journey. All right, so now let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to take them. Can you share a template for CV to be submitted in an assistant professor interview? Well, I don't share free CV formats as such because that's again a part of my resume building course. So you can join us for that. But what I'd suggest is that there are free online resume builder websites as well. So if you don't want to go for the course and you just need a simple CV or resume template, you can check out some online resume builders. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great question, Pradosh. Theoretical PhD scholars don't have to do any experiments. So, what are the tricks for them? So, when you're going for theoretical research, right, then generally other sections are the same. So, your introduction section remains the same, results and discussion section remains the same, conclusion, abstract also remains the same. I think the difference that comes here is in the materials and methods parts. And if you're going for theoretical research or simulation based research, most of your work is happening on a computer. So where this difference lies is in the materials and methods section. So here, what do you talk about? While other people who are doing their experiments, they talk about the materials they've used, they talk about the equipment they've used. What you are supposed to talk about is the kind of models that you've used, because generally when you're conducting theoretical research, it's based on some models, right? And you're making certain assumptions, you're taking certain variables, you're talking about the extent till which you have conducted those experiments in terms of okay, these are the assumptions I've made, these are the limits I have taken. So you need to set those boundaries first. You need to explain those boundaries. If you're working on some formulae, some equations, you need to explain them, tell clearly what are the variables, and again, what are the assumptions you've made. And then, step by step, however, we explain the experimental procedure. Similarly, you have to explain what is the theoretical procedure that you followed in order to arrive at your results. Again, I would say for your particular research area, always refer to literature published in your area, because that's going to be very close to what you are working on, and then you can take idea from there and you can continue your research. Yes. Ma'am, which key points do we need to mention while writing a research paper? Well, there are, okay, to explain it to you very simple terms, there are like five important sections which are there in a research paper. So, first is the introduction section where you share a background of your research and why have you taken up your research study. After that, in the next section, which is the materials and methods section, you talk about what exactly are you doing in your research. So, what are the what are the materials you've used, what experiment you're following, or what is the procedure that you're following to arrive at your results. Then the next section is the results and discussion section. And here you talk about your data, what is the result that you've gotten, and then you comment on your results as to what exactly does the result that you've gotten mean in terms of your research context. And then the final section is the conclusion section where you provide a summary of your research paper, talk about that, okay, this is the problem I was working on, and finally this is what I have achieved out of it. And then comes the abstract section. So abstract, what do? We actually summarize all the different sections, which is the introduction, materials and methods, results and discussion, all combined into one. And then we can also share the future scope there. Okay. Please talk about what are the strategies to enhance research skills. um, That's a good question. What are the strategies? I think when it comes to research skills, a lot of it depends on practice and getting guidance, constant guidance from people. See, research skills are a combination of both writing skills and experimental skills. When it comes to experimental skills, the more you practice, the more you observe the data that you're getting, and then you correct on your mistakes, the better you get. If you keep repeating the same mistakes, you will always get the same result. So the idea is to constantly work on your mistakes, see where you're going wrong, why the results are coming the way they are coming, make calculated assumptions, and then move forward with your experiments. When it comes to writing skills, I would say this is something that you have to build over time. Read a lot of research papers. There you will understand the kind of academic writing or formal writing that it requires. Attend a research writing course, because there you will learn exactly how a research paper needs to be written. What I've noticed in India is that nobody teaches you these things. Everybody assumes that, okay, experimental research we are going to teach, but writing a research paper, you figure it out on your own. It's actually not that easy, and it's not meant to be figured out on your own. It's just like any other subject that you take. Like if you're studying nuclear physics, you will not immediately start working on it, right? You will do some background study first, you will understand the basis of it, and then you will start working on it. Same is with research writing. There's proper concept to each and every section that you're writing, why you're including that information, how that information needs to be included. So the moment you understand these things, writing a research paper will become easy and will not seem as difficult. As I said, it's not something that you need to figure it out on your own. If you have the knowledge of how to write a research paper, anybody can write a research paper properly. Ma'am, is the admission for NTU 2022 over? I'm willing to take BTech there. Please do reply. So I think if you want to join in the year 2022, well, yes, the admissions are definitely over because the batch is starting soon. You can try for 2023 admissions. The admissions will open in October. Okay. Can I publish my college project research after 3 to 4 years of pass out? You can, Pradnya. So it did happen with one of my internships. So I interned at IIT Kharagpur, and then my research got published like almost 3 to 4 years after I had completed my research work there. But it should be still relevant. If you conducted your research, but somebody else has published similar results in that time frame of 3 to 4 years, or your research is already redundant and it's not useful anymore, then probably it doesn't make sense to publish it. But otherwise you always can. Yeah, and sometimes research work do take 3 to 4 years for them to be published. Research books or research articles, which is more useful for research skills. So I would say, if you want to build basic knowledge first, build background knowledge first of any topic, books are good, because when you read research papers, they are already starting at a certain level. And if you want, and they will not help you understand the basics of anything. So if you really want to understand the basics of something, build your fundamental knowledge, books are good. Once you've gotten that fundamental knowledge, then you move to research papers. Yeah. How to analyze results from any new experiment that you've never performed. So the idea is to obviously do a baseline first, right? This is what we do whenever we are conducting experiments on any equipment. You do a baseline first to understand that, okay, if I'm not running any sample and it's a completely blank sample, this is what I'm going to get. And then on top of that, you run your own sample, and then you try to see the results. Now, to understand what those results mean, well, obviously you need to refer to books which talk in detail about how to use that equipment, how to analyze the results from there, and refer to previously published research in that area, and see that when they are creating those kind of samples, how are they analyzing their results. So these are the two things you have to do. Otherwise, again, people who are experts in this field, professors, PhD scholars who've been using these equipments before, know how to analyze information, approach them for help. Yeah. Sometimes reading books, reading research papers, and again figuring things out on your own can take a lot of time. But people who have done this before, who have knowledge of it, they'll be able to guide you better. Thank you. You're welcome. Uh, Ma'am, research papers take 6 months or more to get published in good journals. So, how do we mention them in our CV or in an SOP? So, Abhishek, that's a good question. Yes, sometimes research papers do take up to 6 months to get published. So, you can still mention it in your CV, you can still mention it in your SOP. Depends which stage you are at. If you are in the drafting stage of your research paper, you mentioned that you're writing a research paper on so and so topic, and that's what the paper is titled. But the drafting stage is not a very exciting stage to be in, because you are drafting a research paper, you might publish it or might not publish it. But if you've written a research paper and you've already submitted it to a journal and it is under review, you can always write the title of the paper, say that it is currently under review by so and so journal. That means that yes, your research paper is already in that pathway to get published, and that holds value. Okay. How to easily publish a review paper? Well, I feel, Sumanta, that's a very broad question. Um, and I don't think I'll be able to just take that up like this. So, if you have any specific question regarding review papers, please let me know. Because if I go into review paper and how to publish that, I mean, I'll have to take a 1 hour lecture for that. Yeah. All right. So, guys, any final questions? Anything you'd like to ask? As I was saying, for people who are interested in research writing, we are doing a live course on research paper writing starting from 3rd of September. And I'll strongly encourage all of you to join in, because I'll be taking all your doubts, everything in the live class, giving you all the time that you need and work on your projects specifically. There's also an early bird discount that we are running. So you can use the promo code RES10, RES10, and get a 10% discount. So you don't want to miss this. Okay. So this is a special live that I'm doing today so that I can share this early bird discount with all of you. If you also have any questions about our live course, feel free to ask me here. So it's a good, so Samantha, it's a good aim to want to publish a research paper for a broad study, but obviously you need to give it a lot of time. There are two ways how you can do it, and I'm sure you already know about it. One is to conduct your own research and then try to get it published, and the second one would be to write a review paper. Now, in review paper also, it depends what level of review paper you are writing. Some review papers are very detailed, they go up to like 20, 30 pages, right? And those kind of review papers get published in very high impact factor journals because the citations for them are like crazy. But if you really want to publish a simple one just to get some hang of it, just to get an idea how this entire process works, then you can actually write a simple review paper. It will not get published in a very good journal, I would say, but it will be a good experience for you. Yeah. That's a good question, Nancy. How much time should we give to write a research article? So I would say 1 to 2 months it would need for you to complete the entire research article writing process, starting from drafting your research paper, uh, creating good quality pictures, images, including all the results, everything, including the references, getting it corrected from your guide, making the changes. I think a good estimate would be 1 to 2 months if you want to really write a good quality research paper. Yeah. All right, so guys, I think this is where I will end our live session today. I think it was super interactive and you guys asked some great questions. So, thank you so much for joining in, and I look forward to seeing you all in the course. The link for the course starting 3rd September has also been put in the description. Okay, so thank you so much. Have a great weekend and wish you guys an advance happy Independence Day. Bye and take care.